DBSCG things.
What's up, Yuhp gang? It's your boy Taxon, and welcome back to DBSCG Things. And today we're going over another very exciting list, guys. It's going to be the third place list from our last locals. This is Android 16 ramp. But before we get into it, guys, I do want to say if you guys want any custom mats and or sleeves, absolutely check out Promats, guys. This is the best place to go get your custom card needs, and if you guys do decide to get a mat from them, make sure you use the promo code Yuhp to save on your entire order. With that being said, if you guys enjoyed this list or my content in general, remember to hit all those buttons for me, like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell so you never miss a video. And with that being said, let's turn it around and dive in. Alrighty, you guys, and here we are with our third place list, taking it pretty well with his Android 16 ramp deck. Go ahead and tell us about your deck today and, of course, your matchups.
So this is the 16 promo leader that came out with this set. I've always been kind of fond of the Android 16 stuff, and I've always wanted to give it a try, so I figured why not. This leader, as opposed to the blue leader, I will say right off the bat, I think this leader is probably the lesser of the two, but my personal opinion, a lot more fun. So I decided to give him a try. On his front side, he's got the negate energy exhaust skill, that negates all the skills of his Android 16, and it says Android and Scientist cards, but for the time being, that's literally only 21. So all of their energy exhausts are negated on the front side only. That's very, very important. And then when he attacks, draw a card. His Awaken condition is 4 or less, or if you have a very specific Z-Bell card out, which we'll get into later, Awaken, and then 4 or less Awaken, and then go down to 6 life, grab 4 more life, and then he's just a hybrid Awaken, draw 1 and attack 1. His backside, however, is really, really fun. He reduces the energy cost of all of your, basically your Android 21 cards by 1 specified blue and 1 energy cost. So a lot of the 4-cost Android 21 cards that came out last set with the Android 21 can be played in this deck at a reduced cost. That's really fun. And then that's once per turn, mind you, because it's effectively negated after the one time. But it's not turn restricted, so you can do it during either player's turn, which is really awesome. And then he attacks when he attacks, you draw a card. And then activate battle, not once per turn, not restricted in any way. Any of your Android 16 or 21 cards, you can use them in a combo. Activate battle, no cost restriction, no nothing. So he's very, very easy to defend and go offensive with if you really want to.
Not once per turn, that's very strong.
Very strong. And it's not turn restricted either, so literally it goes either way. So that's huge. So, of course, I got the winner leader because shiny. All right, we'll start with the Android 26 or the Android 16 cards. The Arrival 16, probably one of the trump cards of this deck. The Arrivals for Arrivals for 2 blue, 2 green. It's got double strike. When he is played, he lets you search your deck for an Android 21 energy cost 5 or less, and then immediately after that, play 1. There's a very, very fun combo I like to use with this deck. We'll get into later. And then when he swings, your opponent has to discard a card. So he comes in. Oh, that's not right. Oh, there's supposed to be 4 of this. I don't know where my 4th one went. It's in here somewhere. Anyway, there's supposed to be 4 of this guy right here. So if you play him.
Down to your Z-deck.
Oh, bottom is Z-deck. Who says we don't fuck up on camera?
Is that right?
Anyway, so yeah, I play 4 of him. Like I said, he's kind of my trump card. I try to get him out as soon as possible. He's typically my turn 3 play. I know he's 4 energy, but once I get into my Z deck, I'll explain how turn 3 making this card possible is doable. I play him as often as I can. He is probably my number 1 go-to, my number 1 main play in this deck as soon as I can, every time, all the time. If I have to, though, if I see him early game, I'll use him as my charge fodder. Because one thing I didn't mention is his negate energy exhaust is only on the front side, which can make charging a little difficult. Because I know on the blue leader from a few sets ago, the negate energy exhaust is on both sides, and on this leader it's only on the front. So you do got to be very mindful about what you're charging when you're charging it when you're on the front side. I awaken turn 2 consistently with this leader almost every single time unless I choose not to. So as long as I see the first 2 cards that I want to see, usually I want to charge 2 multicolor right off the bat. So if I see 16s or 21s, those usually go first, and then if I see other cards later in the game, I have other cards I want to charge specifically. So that's pretty much it on that. We'll talk about other cards that we play along with that card combo. Going on with the 16. This card is really, really good. I don't typically play this card. I usually just use it for the discard fodder. He rivals for 2 energy, a blue and a green. When he is played or when he is comboed with, your opponent can either discard a card, or you can choose to place a blue android for energy cost of 1 from your deck to your top area. I do not use that second auto for any reason. I exclusively use this for combo fodder and for making your opponent discard. Once a great while, I'll play it because he is a revenge blocker with dual attack. So I mean, you know, your opponent's got a problem card you need to get rid of, and they're swinging at you. It's not bad, but 9 times out of 10, he is my arrival fodder card. He is the card I use to help with my arrival plays or to make my opponent discard, because this is kind of a mix between control and aggro. I can kind of gear it whichever way I want to go, and his only restriction is your leader has to be a blue or a green card. So,
Jesus Christ.
But yeah, he's pretty much
free off your leader too, which is very nice.
It is free.
If you're ever in a situation where you're clunked up with them and you're like, oh, well, I got to get out of attack, you're just like, oh, I'll dump 3 of these off my activate battle without investing any energy, and you discard each time, which is extremely powerful.
That is very, very good to mention. So now we're going to move into 21s. We'll talk about the Floodgates first. So this is the new Floodgate 21 that came out last set. This is how I deal with my beat stick decks, because that's pretty much all I played today. It was against heavy hitters and whatnot. She's amazing. She will have her energy cost reduced by leader skill, so she's a 2-cost card. Makes her great. When she is played, you choose one of your opponent's battle cards, ignoring barriers, sent to the drop area. And then during the same turn, she has a Floodgate skill. Your opponent gets attack with non-leader cards unless they dish a card from hand and Z energy. So making them discard all their resources to attack through. 9 times out of 10, obviously, they won't attack through this. And then your turn, she's just a 25k beat stick with double strike. So I mean, she is massively good for 2 energy. She does a ton. So,
and it doesn't cost a card from hand to activate that Floodgate. Think about that. Every Floodgate in this game normally costs a card from hand. This one does not.
That's also
and
true.
It has one of the most detrimental skills. Like, to discard 1 and a Z energy every attack, you have to combo in between every attack if you're actually trying to fight through this to create Z energy to continue paying for the cost of this card. So it's technically a discard 2 and a Z energy, like if you want to swing through it. So very powerful.
And another cool thing about this is she is playable up to 16. So I literally have a whole choice of 21s I can play with the 16, so we'll get into more of those options later. But in my 3rd match, I definitely did this. So if I don't see this in hand for whatever reason, I'll go ahead and play this, and then I'll search her, and then I can just play her. Or search something else and play her if she's already in my hand.
Play out your Floodgate and combo timing.
Yep.
Very powerful. And it will still essentially kill the attacking card if they're attacking with a battle card.
So that is huge. Continuing with 21 cards that I play in addition with this leader that's reduced by energy cost. I play this at 3 just because it's a card I typically don't use very often, but there are a few niche situations where she's really handy for 2 energy. You can't really go wrong.
Truly, you added this into the deck because you just wanted to flex the pre-release stamp.
Okay, he's got a point. But in any case, she's still a pretty good card out of the way. She's a counterplay. She'll play herself. If she's played on your opponent's turn, you just draw a card. But if you play her on your turn, you get to buy and deck one of your opponent's cards. And then at the end of the turn, she restands. She's a blocker and a critical. So she's a pretty good offensive card and defensive card if you really, really need to. If you're in a situation where your opponent's got a swing, you want to make sure you can block. You can't play her for 2 energy as a counterplay off of leader. So that's really, really cool. I don't play her as often as you would think.
I feel like 2 energy removal on your turn with a crit blocker that untaps is really good on your turn.
It is. The only reason why I don't play her as often as you would think is because, like I said, more often than not, I want to play him. I want to play him as often as I can.
Right. And off him, you can just play this anyways.
That too. So if I really wanted to, that 16 will play this card. So it's a good card. It's staying in there. I got no reason to get rid of it. This is another really, really clutch card to have in here. Just because it draws, it kind of helps me cycle my hand out, because this deck is very combo heavy. Like, it does a lot, but it usually costs 3 to 4 cards per combo play. Mind you, it gets a lot done during those combo plays, but you're exhausting your hand pretty quickly, pretty much every single time. Like, you know, when you're activating Rival, you're playing the card, you're essentially negging 2 cards almost every time. So this is another card that I'll sometimes search with the 16. I'll take that 16 out instead of just explaining it over and over again. But this is another card that I will search out and play off of this skill just because I'll break even effectively, but then I'll gain a body with double strike. and then you draw 2 cards when this card is played, and then it gives your opponent a clone token, which I think I forgot in every single match, but clone token is not relevant to this deck in any way, shape, or form. I do absolutely nothing with them. But she's mainly in there just because she's a double strike body that draws 2, and if I just hard cast her with the leader skill, then she's a hard +1 with a double strike body. So I mean, the amount of value that comes from her, whether you play her straight with leader skill or you play her with the 16, it's all good. So that's why she's a she's too good.
Yeah, that card creates a lot of pressure. To draw 2 and essentially take a card from your opponent's hand, because it's a double strike, you gotta keep in mind, it's a 20k, so it's like, I'm either taking a super combo from your hand while drawing 2 or a negate, so I agree. This card is super overtuned and very good for what this deck wants to do.
Or it helps overclock their Z leader, because a lot of Z leaders are 20k. So your 20k swing or your 20k, I can still make you discard cards, because I can play these cards very easily. So she's definitely off. This is a last-minute tech that I just threw in just because I needed space. I have yet to play this card, but it's a decent defense card because, like I said, in most of the decks I played today with Punchy. It's a counterplay. I barely remember what it does. If it's your opponent's turn, and that's right, I put it in for the Gohan mainly. Put it up here. It's your opponent's turn, and you have 8 or more. Actually, I can't even play this in here. Well, I can if I have my secret rare out. So energy cost will be reduced if I have an energy.
Oh, it's only green, right?
Yeah, it's only green. That's okay though. So yeah, it's okay though. So it'll come out 2 energy. He's a blocker. If your leader card is green, if he's played for the turn, he can't be KO'd. And then when you activate the blocker, he restands. So play him out. He can't be KO'd for the turn. He uses his blocker once and won't die. Blocker restands. It's just a double block. He's literally just a space card because I came here with other cards in here I did not want in here. I saw I had this that I wanted a couple weeks ago, and I'm like, I'll throw it in here. It's a decent card. But it'll probably come out just because 2 energy for the blocker. We'll see.
It's pretty solid depending on what you play within your deck, because of course we have access to things like the 8 cost 21, which of course we don't know if you run yet or not. And of course we also have access to things like that 8 cost 17 and 18 battle card, which is also blue-green, and I believe that's a hand control card as well, which actually might fit this playstyle.
It might. Like I said, the playstyle of this deck kind of goes back and forth. I can throw out a bunch of double strike bodies and go aggro, or I can kind of focus on the hand control. It really just kind of depends on what my matchup is. Hand control is really only good against decks that don't recur hands very easily. And in this meta, it's kind of hit or miss. Anyway, so this is my super combo. I was doing a 2-2 split with the Android 18 super combo, that non-dex card. I decided I'd go full this, just because I'm tapping out a lot for my plays, and this deck only ramps realistically once. So this card alone is 4 cost. So 9 times out of 10, I'm tapping out almost every turn to do my plays. Since this is a green leader, not a blue leader, I don't have access to D-Magic or anything that can untap for me easily. So max this out. If you're not familiar with this super combo, if your leader is in a green or a blue, on your turn combo, it will untap one of your blue-green energy specifically. So that's almost all my energy practically. Especially during turn 1 and turn 2, that's only 2 cards I'm charging, so I'll always have access to the energy I want to untap with this. It's also my arrival fodder for the most part, because I usually arrival defensively versus offensively. Because I have so many choices of different cards, I can choose to arrival. It depends on my opponent's situation. I can choose a Floodgate, I can choose to draw cards, or I can choose another card that was going to go for my 21s, but I'm definitely going to keep it like this. I want to be able to untap my energy as often as I can.
I think the untap is very, very powerful in a deck like this, because you're not a blue leader, so you don't have access to Dimension Magic, nor Zeno Super Combo or anything like that. So this is a very good choice.
That's what I was just saying. I don't have access to normal untap stuff, so unfortunately that's going to have to be a 4-up. Before I went into the Super Combos, I was going to go into this 21. This one is really, really fun with this card. This card literally states that if you play it, your opponent chooses 1 card in their battle area, then 1 card in their life, and you put them in the drop. The cost of the card is you have to pitch 1 of your energy. This card can literally search this card and play it in the same turn. So if your opponent's down to 1 life, they swing, you untap your energy, you play this card, you play this, it's game. I have won a few games with this combo. A lot of the times I'll either go for this combo or I'll just go to put my opponent at 1 life. I've got the energy to play this card. I'll just hardcast it. She won't get the cost reduction because she's a 5 cost, and this only works with 4 costing version ones. But either way, you can still search it and still play it with this card because this card is 5 cost or less. So you can play pretty much any of the 5 cost or less 21s. It's a 2-of for that reason. It's kind of a niche card. It's a move I really only want to pull once or twice. And worst case scenario, it's another card I can charge during my early turns if I don't see anything else I want to charge. Because like I said, turn 1 and turn 2 very vitally want to charge multicolor, because after you awaken, you can't charge multicolor anymore without dealing with energy cost. So 2-of, it's gonna stay there. Plus, I'm pretty sure these are my only 2 shinies, so that's how it is. Going into exterior cards, decent, generic, good Android stuff. This card's really, really nice. Arrival for 3 energy, 1 blue, 1 green, 1 green. This card is critical. When it's played, your opponent discards a card, and then you choose one of your opponent's battle cards, and I think you bottom deck it. I rarely ever play this card, to be honest. I use this card 9 times out of 10 mainly for its activate main. You can discard it to look at the top 5 cards of your deck. Choose an Android card, specify entry cost of 5 or less, and add it to your hand. I use it almost exclusively for that skill, and that skill only, just because I want to be able to filter through my deck as much as I can. I want to be able to search for my Android 21s as much as I can, because all my Android 21s can be searched by this. Because it only searches for a blue Android, but the only Android 21s I run are either mono blue or blue green, so it hits everything. So every once in a great while, I'll play this card for the arrival, for the critical, and
it's one of those cards that your opponent always has to respect. Just having mid battle step removals, really, really powerful. So like, and it removes anything 5 or less.
Yep, 5 or less, and your opponent's discard card. Actually,
no, there's no restriction on the
the
5 or less is just on the search. So there's no restriction on the attack. So if they're attacking with a non-barrier card, they always have to respect this. Very, very powerful.
Oh, that's right, because I won one of my games. I got rid of the Broly Secret Rare with this card. I remember that now. Like I said, I forget about that skill because 9 times out of 10 I'm using it to search for my pieces. But that is an option if you want to.
I just now thought about it too. Your leader just makes it so easy to get it out. Oh, discard 1 by comboing this, and then I'll just arrive with this.
Yep. Oops, wrong way. Really good. So going with the Android theme, if you're doing blue-green Androids, you are running a playset of this card. I think you're ridiculous if you're not. Play this card, search top 5, grab a Android, no specified energy cost, it just has to be blue or green. And then at the end of your turn, you can choose to pick up a mono or pick up a multicolor energy and then put another one down. Every once in a while, that's useful. You pick up a card that you don't want in your energy, and then you can search for a card that you would rather have in your energy. You can flip flop. That's kind of nice. But this is my turn 1 play, if I can see it. It's really the only turn 1 play in the deck I have right now, just because I'm thinking about putting it in 1 more searcher just to kind of help with consistency a little bit. But again, you're doing any type of blue, green, mono or multicolor or whatever, you're running this card. Just an opinion.
Card's great, man. Being able to re-grab any card that you had to charge early from the energy and then charge something dead down, very good.
So one of my boss cards, this card is really, really fun. When it is played, you choose your opponent's battle cards, not ignoring barrier, unfortunately, and then they bottom deck them. Once per turn, when they attack, when this card attacks, this card specifically is in battle. If they activate a counter, they have to bottom deck 1 card, so it kind of adds some hand control. And then to play the cards and activate main, you can pay 4 energy and pay 4 energy, play him from your energy. Now, mind you, you can use him as cost for his own effect, which is really, really nice. So I usually try to charge him my turn 4 or turn 5, depending on what's going on. And he gains double strike for the turn if he's played. But even if they don't get rid of him, he's dual attack. He keeps his counterattack skill, so every turn he's alive. Every time you swing with him, your opponent tries to block or counter, they're losing a card every time. So on the turn you play him, he's a dual attack, double strike, so he's kind of like a finisher. I think I play him more often as like a board removal, because while I already have decent board removal, outside of my secret rare, which we'll go over in a bit, I don't have a whole lot of like mass board removal, so he's kind of like my backup in that regard. because while the 21 stuff does remove cards here and there, it only hits like 1 card or 2 here and there, so mainly for the board wipe, but obviously the finishing power is really, really nice too. And then like I said, you lose your negated energy exhaustator, so he's an excellent card to draw just to make sure you can charge something and not lose value in the long run. So good as the 3-of, that's where he's going to stay. And then because I do a ton of untapping and arrival stuff with a lot of energy, 4-beam, have to have it. You run any type of blue deck, whether it's a green leader or not, you're running 4 of this card if you have the space. Personal opinion, I can't go any less on the beam. Goes really, really good in tangent with my super combo, just because you super combo, untap 1 energy, and then however many beans you have is how many energy you're untapping. It's really fun to let your opponent think, oh, he's only got 1 energy, he can't do much. Super combo, 2 more beam, activate arrival, and then just go ham. Whatever the situation demands at the time. So, not much to say there.
Bean is Bean. Bean has been good since set 1.
Bean will never not be good, I don't think.
The Harada did nothing to that card. It's still extremely good.
Yep. So going with the fact that he's a green leader, 2 homicidal clones, not much to say here. Defense, any leader you're running, any card you're running the version of this card. Counterattack, if you're at 5 or less life, this card plays a blocker, take life instead, or pay the 2 energy to do so. Which actually in this deck, I do pay 2 energy for it every once in a while, just because I've got the untapped power to do so. So that way I don't have to burn the white card to defend myself. Not much to say there. It's a good card. Every color's got them, every color's running them. They got the space. This was a tech that I was hesitant about. I'm probably going to take it out just because, or side deck it at minimum, just because I'm not super fond of it. It's a counterattack, negate the attack, and then choose one of your opponent's battle cards. Energy costs 4 or less and KO it. The permanent is only applies if your leader is a Son Goku GT, which he's not. But it's not a bad card. It's good for removal, spot removal mainly. But this deck is a little too counter heavy, I think, as we'll go into in a minute. So I'm probably just going to take this out in favor of another, like Android Searcher or something. There's a blue Android 17 that also searches kind of similarly to that 18. So I'm probably going to just go with that instead, maybe. I'm going to go through my generic stuff and we'll see what fits. But this is probably just going to come out for now. It doesn't really need it. And then green negates, I'm probably going to reduce this by 1, 2. But this is just a good OG negate to have. Good for spot removal as well. Shocking Death Ball, Sparking. Not much to say here. I think pretty much everybody knows what this does. You know, if you're Playset, or if you have 5 cards and drop, you can activate it but not paying cost. Negate the attack, choose one of your opponent's battle cards, 2 or less, and then gets rid of it. So it's okay. Probably gonna reduce it by 1 and put in some other techie stuff, but not much to say there really. Secret Rare, very obvious choice. She will have her energy cost reduced in hand by the skill, so she is a 2 cost, Secret Rare. My first match against Baby was recorded, so you'll get to see that mess. I felt really, really bad against that player when I pulled this out, but play her in your battle area and in your deck. She is an 8 cost because her permanent will increase it, but everywhere else she's a 4 cost, mainly because of this card, I'm assuming. But when she is played, you choose all your opponent's battle cards, ignoring barrier and their unison, place it underneath this card. And once, if she's going to be removed by a skill, you can choose to take all the cards out from underneath her, place them in your opponent's areas, and then she'll stay. She is a dual attack blocker. So I mean, she just, for 2 energy especially, even for 4 energy, I'm not going to lie, I would pay 4 energy for this card still, just because she does so much. But the biggest, cruelest thing about it is the fact that this card can play her. He can't search her because she is an 8 cost in deck, but if this is already in her hand, you can literally search for another 21, and you can just play this bad boy. And I did that against the Baby player, and I think I made him cry a little. It was rough.
Broken.
It's very broken. It is insane. So this Secret Rare is monstrous. Probably one of the best Secret Rares in the game, in my personal opinion. Especially paired with this leader, because you're just like, okay, 2 energy. I'm going to slurp up your entire board and your unison. And I forgot to mention, you gain up to 2 life. You gain 1 life for every 2 cards chosen. So if you slurp up like 3 battle cards in unison or 4 battle cards or whatever, you get 2 life. It was just insane. Like the Secret Rare is nasty. So I have tricked many opponents into just like, oh, I'm about to kill them. They've only got 2 life. Swing with the double strike. Okay, activate a rival, play, search, play, slurp it up, gain 2 life. It's cool, but that's why I play it. So going into
Rejuvenating 2 life is good, they say.
going into the Z deck. The Z deck is kind of a hodgepodge because I'm not entirely sure how I want to go about it. But for the time being, this is what I got. This is the Dr. Giro card that you want to play turn 2. This is the card that the leader specifies to play to awaken with. So I've been able to play this card turn 2 almost every single turn. My turn 2 play is almost the same every single time. I don't think I've done it differently once yet. When this card is played, you Z-stack, so you Z-stack the 21 Z card from last set. We're going to do that in a minute. When he is played, you add 1 card from your life, place a green card to the bottom of your deck, and you can draw a card, so he cycles a little bit, which is cool. And then you can pay 2 energy, activate main, 1 blue, 1 green. If your leader card is an Android 16, specifically this Android 16, actually. You can pay the 2 energy, play an Android 21 from underneath. The card specifies a blue Android with energy cost 4 or less, negating its keyword skills for the turn. So there's a couple other choices you can go with, but in my personal opinion, this is the best you're going to get. You do the skill to play this card. She won't have her blocker for the turn, but she will be able to ramp you a card. So on your turn 2, you're ramping. That way you're going into your turn 3 with 4 energy. That's how playing this card in your turn 3 is possible. Like I said, it kind of depends on your energy situation, depends how much you've tapped out, depends how many beans and super combos you have. But that's part of the reason why I run as much searching as I do, why I run the 18, both the 5-drop and the 1-drop searchables. That way I can search for my super combos especially, so I can be ready to play this as soon as possible. Because like I said, this is where I'm going almost every single time, no matter what, because I'm able to do so much with this card. So turn 3, you're going for that. I do 2 of each, just in case I want to do it multiple times. He is deflect barrier, so there's not really a good way to negate him. And also to turn 3, 9 times out of 10, this is what I'm doing. Or turn 2, this is what I'm doing anyway. There might have been a couple like weird situations where I chose to not do this right off the bat. If I don't think my opponent can get rid of this card, I'll leave it there and just do something else, because you awaken turn 2 consistently with this leader every time. And then sometimes there's like a 21 you want to play instead, or a surgery you want to play instead, or whatever. But more often than not, it's going to be turn 1, charge, do this, turn 2, play this card. Once he's out, you can awaken with this card. Once you awaken, you get another energy back, pay the 2, play this card, ramp, and then you just go. Yep. And then we go into, I just put this card in here. I haven't used this card today, but this card can be a bit hand control-y if you allow it to be. I feel it's a little more aggro than hand control, but I mean, you combine one with the other, it's not necessarily a bad thing. So when this card is played, you choose one of your opponent's battle cards, energy cost of 5 or less, and KO it. And then when one of your battle cards swings 2 cost or more, you can get rid of one of your Z energy and make your opponent discard a card. So that's really, really good. And he's got a double strike by himself. So that's really, really good.
Doesn't he make you discard on attack?
This card does. When he attacks, he does make
So when you swing
discard.
with him, you just proc his auto to discard, and instead of discard 2, 25p double striker?
Yep.
Very powerful.
Extremely. So I wish I played this card more often. I forgot I added him, if I'm being honest, because I say this a lot with all my videos just because I do this a lot. I kind of threw this together last week. I edited it a little bit throughout the week to see if it could work better, because one thing I did forget to mention is this deck is very sequency. I mentioned earlier that it's about 3 to 4 cards every single combo, so you are burning cards constantly, so your sequencing has to be pretty good, pretty damn near perfect. Otherwise, you're losing an advantage, and it can be trouble. Then, of course, the SSB Godly Vegito Spirit. I've yet to use him very often. I think I've used him once since I put this deck together, depending on my energy setup, but he's just a good Z card to have. I don't think there's really any other Z cards that were put in this deck, so he's in there just because he's good. Yeah.
I was going to say, I'd imagine he's for her, because she's only 2 specified, so you could just Z-stack this and gain the triple strike that way.
You could do it that way too. I've never actually done that, but that is something you could do. He's really, really nice though. He's a blocker barrier, triple strike. At the end of your opponent's turn, at the end of your turn, your opponent has to bottom deck a card from hand and field or battle area, and then he stands himself at the end of the turn, I do believe. I haven't used this card very often, so yeah, there's that.
Dual block, or blocker that gets to actually use his blocker if he attacks being a triple striker. That's very powerful.
Yep. So that's pretty much it for that. So going into my matches, my first match was Baby. That one, Blue Baby. That one was recorded. That was kind of a landslide only because I was able to do my secret rare play with this card. He went wide on his turn 3, and I just slipped it up. It was very, very mean. He did start the game very, very well, though. Had I not seen my secret rare, that probably would have went sideways for me. So that did kind of come down to me seeing my secret rare. I'm not sure if I would have had any answers for that besides that. My second game was against Swap Frieza. That was my loss for today. That came down to literally 5k combo just because he's a very punchy deck, and I had to be very, very defensive. And being defensive, while this deck does it very well, it does cost a lot of resources, so there was that. But yeah, literally 5k combo. That's all it came down to. I think I could have got it, but I mean, hindsight's 2020, I guess. My final game was against Trunk Xeno with all the new stuff. That was also a really, really close match that came down to he was hitting me as hard as he could, and I was just playing defensively. He burned through a lot of my resources, and I was just able to come out top just barely. And yeah, he went for the game, and I was able to defend myself just because this leader permanent on the backside is not permanent. Activate battle is kind of nutty. Like all of my 10k cards, even with the specified cost of 1, I just they're all free. Yep. They're basically super combos in my hand at this point. So if I've got multiple of them, they're all 10k combos. So that, yeah, that's huge. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
With that being said, that was your deck and your matches. Do you have any final shout-outs?
So shout out to Yuhp Games as usual. Love coming here and playing every Sunday. And then shout out to Jesters and Waterford for letting us be here. And yeah, that's about it.
Alrighty, with that being said, guys, that was his list. If you guys enjoyed this, remember to hit all those buttons for us, like, comment, subscribe, and we will see you guys next time.